The strong commuter reactions and political exchange over the hike in fares in the Bengaluru Metro. A few days ago, the Bengaluru Metro Rail Corporation implemented what's been described as a quote-unquote steep hike in fares of up to 50% in the maximum fares and around 45% between some stages, according to BMRCL. Several commuters, though, have complained on social media and demonstrated how the effective fare hike between some stations has almost doubled and that it virtually disincentivizes the use of the Bengaluru Metro and public transport. There are multiple factors, remember, that need to be debated and taken into consideration in this issue. Sharp political comments for one, and protests by the BJP outside some metro stations on the one side. But the Congress-ruled Karnataka government has pointed out categorically that the fare hike was cleared by the centre, and even a committee headed by a retired judge to approve that hike was set up after a letter from the centre and not the state government. Remember, the BMRCL has both the centre and the state as stakeholders. The political exchange is being keenly watched in the hope that it could perhaps force BMRCL to revisit the hike.
I've been very disappointed for even voting for any of these politicians, because this is being a major transport system. They have been like literally outrageously they are doing this. That is very disappointing. At least they should consider to increase our 10%, 20%. 46% is like criminal. It is very disappointing about it.
According to me, it is unfair. So they should not increase that extent. Okay, 5-10%, okay. We can understand the inflation. So they can increase to that extent, 5 to 10%. 50%, 48%, it is too much.
Well, so who is to blame for that fare hike, and why is the Bengaluru Metro, or is it amongst the costliest in the country? Does it disincentivize public transport? Joining me this evening, Surabhi Hodigare of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Nagaraju Yadav of the Congress will join us in a bit. Urban governance expert Sridhar Pabbisetti also here with us this evening. Thanks to all three of you for joining us this evening. Surabhi, the point that the state government is making is that BMRCL is a centre and state, has both these as stakeholders, and that the fare hike had to actually be signed off by the centre. So why protest here? Because the Congress says that it's not their decision to have increased the price, it's BMRCL's decision, along with a committee that was set up to study the issue.
Raghavan, I think the basic thing that we need to agree on as political parties is that our job here is not to oppose the Congress, oppose the BJP. It is as government to ensure that we're working for the people, and as the opposition to ensure that what voices of the people need to be heard on the government are staged by our political parties. That is the basis on which we are doing this protest. Today, there is palpable anger that in a city where there is severe congestion, that modes of public transport are crowded, not enough BMTC buses, significant problems with last mile connectivity exist. Metro is one shining hope that a lot of commuters have been, banking on. And when you see this sort of an increase in fare hike, the anger gets even more substantiated. And when we start talking state government, central government, it is a joint vehicle. Yes, BMRCL is a joint vehicle. There are multiple people on the committee, that the fare fixation committee, that have been nominated by the state government and nominated by the central government. I want to also put in one clarification here that yes, that the fare fixation committee might have been constituted by the union government, but rules stipulate that either BMRCL or the state government have to first make that request. We are a decentralized polity, that somewhere the communication has to happen. But the basis of our argument is this. Look, we have a need where metro ridership needs to be subsidized, not penalized. That is what we're asking for, and that is what we hope that the government will listen to. It is something that, and the question to the state government is, if BJP is on the streets today protesting against this hike, what is stopping you from taking strict actions? Your comments have been restricted to who is the part of the fare fixation committee or not. Tell me what you're going to do about it.
You know, Surabhi, the point that's being made is that when you protest here, you are technically protesting against the decision of the central government. It needs to be taken up there, is the point that the political argument being made. But we'll get to it. I'm waiting for Nagaraj Yadav to join the show in a bit from now. Sridhar Pabbisetti, overall, why is it that Bengaluru Metro is being, considered one of the most costliest in the country? Some some comparisons to the Delhi Metro suggest that the Bengaluru Metro is far more costlier. Is it because of operational reasons, A? And B, is a sudden hike of this nature in Bengaluru Metro, which, remember, is largely a public transport, does it, sort of disincentivize the whole process of pushing people towards public transportation?
True, Veera. There are two important points here. First is that why this sudden steep increase? And that is something that the Bangalore Metro has to answer for itself, of saying that how will it engage with citizens and how will it communicate the need for frequent price hikes, and how will it go through the process of increasing the fees? A sudden hike like 50% is unimaginable for a urban commuter today, and it will actually drive out many riders who have made conscious shift to get into public transport, right? So that's the first thing. If that happens, then you have the second problem. You don't have enough space in the roads for this traffic to move away from the metro to the roads, right? So you have to clean up the roads. Metro has to be functioning as efficient as possible. So in that also, there are a huge challenge that we are facing, right? We don't have enough rakes that are running on our trains, on the metro. There are not enough additional capacity being added to the existing routes. All addition of ridership has happened only because we have added new reaches, new lines, and hence the ridership is increasing. It's not necessarily the old places where you have increased ridership. So more rakes will help getting more riders from the congested places. And you also have to start fixing on the non-motorized transport, walkability, footpaths around the stations, make them more accessible. All of these things have to work together. And most importantly, PMRCL has got this wrong by making a steep increase, by not making periodic. And that is very important that we get it right. We make it predictable. We say it will happen once in 6 months or 3 years or whatever is the routine. And here is a formula we follow, demands.
Okay. All right, you're making multiple points here. Yes, there are multiple issues, but we'll restrict this conversation to the fare hike per se. Nagaraj Yadav, who has experience in running, public transportation and is the Congress's spokesperson here, joins us. Mr. Yadav, thanks very much for being here with us. Surbi was making the point a short while ago. This is not about who is to blame. The question is that what are we doing to reduce that fare hike? When I posed to her that the Congress's argument is that it's the centre that signs off on the fare hike for the metro. How would you see that argument?
It is not a scientific way of increasing the price. There is a way of increasing the price because I was the chairman of the BMTC. I know what is urban transport means. Bangalore city is one of the finest city, one of the fastest growing city in the world today. 1.5 crore vehicles on the streets today. Bangalore is suffering with traffic today. And if we don't encourage the mass public transport, this becomes a mockery of entire public transport as such. Today we have to reduce the prices rather than increasing the prices. We should push people to go to the mass transport. Whether it's I wanted the buses to be increased to the 13,000 buses or 15,000 buses, and the metro train to increase to more number of kilometers, so that more people are pushed towards the public transport as such. But today the government of India is going totally opposite to unscientifically pushing people back to use their two-wheelers and use the cars as such. Today, Bangalore is dying today. Tomorrow, Bangalore will become one more Delhi with pollution and rates as such if the public transport is not pushed today. Japan, you take an example, only 8% of the public vehicles are there in the roads, but 92% of the people use public transport as such. We should think an example like that, South Korea or Japan, to use more public transport as such. Rather making it more cheaper, they are making it more costlier, and nowhere in the world 50% of the hike is done, which is not acceptable, completely unscientific. They have taken it wrong. They should roll it back. Today, I'm so unfortunate to say, the BJP people are protesting today in front of the metros where their own government is increasing this. What is this natak they are doing that? One side they want to pinch a child and they're asking why the child is crying. This is not fair at all.
I'll ask that question to Surbi. I'll ask that question that you're posing to Surbi next, but a quick question to you. Why is the Congress not out on the streets protesting the fare hike?
we are writing to the government of India. Today we also I myself also written to the MD of BMRCL. This should be withdrawn. They should not give any room for unwarranted instances because the salaries are not doubled. The price of the metro is doubled. How is acceptable to people of Bangalore? Whether it's people of Bangalore or people of Kolkata. Kolkata rates compared to the Bangalore is more than 60% is cheaper than Bangalore is. Kolkata metro is this. Why is this disparity in the government of India? Government of India is completely against the people of Karnataka and they are against the people of Bangalore because they are given mandate for 5 or 6 seats in and around Bangalore for the parliamentary seats. That's the reason they are doing this way, is it?
All right.
They have a step further
respond to
attitude
what
towards the Bangalore.
Nagaraj Yadav is saying. He's saying the onus is on the centre to have controlled the fares. Why is the BJP protesting outside railway stations? This is the question that I started with, saying that, look, this needs to be dealt with at New Delhi.
The BMRCL has been appointed here for a reason. There is a reason that BMRCL exists. There is also equal representation of Karnataka state government nominated members as Government of India members within the BMRCL. The protest here, sir, is not today against decisions made by the central government, state government. It is by this authority, the Fare Fixation Committee, which I will remind Nagaraj Yadav. I do not want to be spoken over.
Is it a scientific way of increasing this? Not the way at all. I am so angry with the government of India. I am not saying that, Surabhi, you are a Bangalorean. You should understand it's unscientific. Why don't you say that? Why don't you
I go in the
go
metro
ahead.
a lot more than you do. Please, I go in the metro a lot more than you do. Therefore, I understand better. Today, what we're voicing is not.
I was the chairman of urban transport. I know what is urban transport. It's not that only you are a traveler. You should understand you are anti Bangalorean.
Can we cut the noise? Can we find a solution?
I have heard you patiently. The Fare Fixation Committee that you constantly point towards, the request to create such a committee comes from the state government of BMRCL. Instead of you pointing fingers at me and me pointing fingers at you, let me point out an instance. In 2021 in Tamil Nadu, a similar revision happened and the then Chief Minister E. Palaniswamy actually reduced the prices. Can Siddaramaiah government please do that as well? The second thing that I want to mention.
For all your increase, why this?
So please let me have three points. Please let me.
Unfair. I will not agree with for all mistakes of yours. State government to reduce the price.
May I please?
No, this is unfair. This is unfair, Surabhi. I am being a Bangalorean. I will not agree with this kind of unscientific talk. I will not agree with this thing. I will not allow things to fall like this. Why are you giving an example of Tamil Nadu as such? Bangalore is one
Surabhi, quickly finish your point. I'm getting to Nagaraj Yadav. Nagaraj Yadav, 1 minute. Let Surabhi finish your point. I'll come to you.
I had 3 points. I have completed 1 point. The 2 other points are this, that we need a better understanding of overall mobility and transportation. Make sure that BMLTA is working again. That is where if you do a bus hike in 10
and number
days,
2?
and then a metro fare hike later, what are commuters supposed to do?
And the last minute.
Third point, sir.
And the last minute, Surabhi, I need to move to Nagaraj Yadav. I have very limited time.
A lack of resources. We can generate money through ads, through having retail outlets in our metro station. We cannot work with the BMRC.
Okay, Nagaraj Yadav, she's saying it's more about management. How do we solve the problem? You know, moving away from the political exchange, how do we solve the problem? What is your advice to Surabhi and to the centre and to the state government? Quickly.
No, this can be definitely resolved because you should have a political will to say that the public transport is the more. If you run a public transport free of cost also is acceptable because we don't want vehicles on the streets today. You know Bangalore is going towards the directions of a Delhi. If you love Bangalore, you should reduce the prices of the metro and the BMTC buses as such. I'm not doing any blame game as such. Don't ever look at it as a business angle as such. Why should the government of Karnataka reduce? Government of India doesn't have any commitment to the people who are paying such a high contribution to the GDP of the country's growth.
Go and make this representation. BMRCL MD sitting in Bengaluru.
You don't have to tell what Chief Minister do. He has done 16 budgets in the state of Karnataka. We don't have to learn from the BJP as such. We don't have to learn from the kids of BJP what economics of the country means. We are contributing to the country's economy. The highest contribution. What are you doing? No, one thing I'll tell you, sir. People of Bangalore are very upset with the government of India for raising this price of 50% hike.
Sir, please, you don't have to bring my age into this. I am the person living my next 60 years in Bengaluru. I have more invested in this. You don't have to bring my age into this. Please.
I think we'll leave this conversation
I have not said that. Bangalore has invested in the government of India.
How is the state, how are the various stakeholders going to work towards reducing the metro fares and the burden on the commuter, which includes me. I use the metro on a daily basis, and yes, the fare increase hurts. And there is also a question of whether the metro's fare increase makes it even only for the elite and takes it away from really the working classes. So these are very, very important questions that need to be addressed. But thanks to the two of you for joining us here on the Southern View this evening.